Hey, Algebra 1, you should have this sheet out in front of you. I'm not here today. Got some more health issues at home. So I figured I would walk you through a number of these, and then you guys can finish up some of the other ones on your own, so then that way you've got some very good examples, in addition to what we did the last couple of days. So this is the top of your worksheet. And so what we're going to do is we're going to walk through a number of them and then come back and show you how to fill this out. I would do everything on a separate sheet of paper. So please make sure you have that out. And then follow along and do everything on a separate sheet of paper, because there will not be enough room on this little white space right here. This is not going to be enough space for you to do all of the work that you need to know. I would dare say it's probably not enough space to do 2 problems, let alone 9. So anyway, here we go. Let's take a look at problem number 1. Now remember, step 1 for these is going to be multiply a times c. And again, remember, this is ax squared plus bx plus c. So we're going to take 3 times 2. We're going to get 6. Step number 2 is find factors of, in this case, 6 that add up your b value. In this case, it's going to be 7. And again, as I said, you really need to just get in the habit of breaking down all of your factors just so you get used to it. So the 2 that you've got that are going to have to be 7 is going to be this. Oops. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to rewrite the equation with the b value split. So in this case, here's the original equation, the 3x squared plus 7x plus 2. And we're going to break this down. This is what, the reason why we found the 6, the 1 and the 6, is because those are the 2 numbers that are going to add up together to be 7. So we're going to break the 7 into 2 parts. The 7 will break into, so the 3x squared is going to stay there. The 7 is going to break into 1x and 6x. Now, just a reminder, if you happen to have 2 factors that are both negative, you put them both there. But if you have one that's negative, one that's positive, I would suggest putting the negative one first. Less mistakes happen that way. Step 4, you're going to find the GCF, greatest common factor, for the first 2 terms. And the second 2 terms. Again, I'm okay if you're not writing down the steps. You should have these in your notes from Tuesday. So we're going to say, okay, what's the greatest common factor between those 2 parts? Those 2 parts. So 3 and 1, the biggest number is going to be 1. You can write that down if you want. And then between the x squared and the x, I can pull an x out. So remember, as I divide this by x and this by x, the leftovers are going to go inside the parentheses. So I'm going to get 3x there. I'm going to get 1 there. I'm going to do the same thing over here. What can I pull out of both the 6 and the 2? So I'm going to divide both parts through by the 2. I get 3x plus 1. Stop here and double check to make sure that you have everything inside your parentheses the same. So in this case, you've got 3x plus 1 times 3x plus 1. Or, yeah, 3x plus 1 and 3x plus 1. So that means that you're doing it correctly at this point. And then the last thing that we do, and this is usually the strangest part for people, but you guys have done a really good job of seemingly catching on to this, is factor out the expression in parentheses. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull that 3x plus 1 out front. So when we do that, that's coming out front. And then remember, just like up here, let me get my pointer. Just like up here, oops. Just like up here, what we ended up doing was we saying, okay, we're going to divide out an x, and we're going to leave the leftovers, the 3x and the plus 1 inside parentheses. We're going to do the same thing. Here, the leftovers are going to be an x and a 2. And so that is going to be your binomial. Now, if we multiply that out, then we should be able to get the 3x squared plus 7x plus 2 that we started with. Okay? Now, in terms of how the worksheet works, feel free to pause here if needed. What we're going to do is if we go back to the main page, we're going to look for 3x minus, what was it, 3x plus 1 and x plus 2. So you're going to look for those on your lists. So there's 3x plus 1, and then x plus 2. What that means is that in problem 8, or in slot 8, I'm going to write a W. Okay, so you're going to find one binomial is going to be in the front column, first column. Another binomial will be in the second column. And then whichever number the first one is gets the letter of the second one. Okay? Let's jump over to number 2. Number 2, same idea. So we're going to multiply first and last. 2 times 3, so step 1. I'm not going to write down the reasoning here because we're kind of at the point you should have that written down. And obviously it takes a lot of time to write all that down. So 2 times 3 is 6. We need to find the factors of 6. Luckily, we already did that before in the previous problem. So you've got those down. So for step 2, the 2 plus 3 is going to equal 5. So that's what we're going to use. Because again, that's the middle number. So again, getting these two numbers from here, this number is coming down, has to match up with that. So now we're going to rewrite it. We're going to break up that 5x. And you're going to say, okay, that's going to be 2x squared plus, and you can do this however you want. You can put the 2x first. You can put the 3x first. In fact, here, let's do them both at the same time. Well, we'll do them separately, but I'll show you how this works. So, then you're going to do step 4. You're going to factor out the GCFs. That's a really bad 3. Factor out 2x. Here I can factor out, what is it? Good, 3. So 3, we get x plus 1. And again, just remember what we're doing here is I'm dividing both of those parts through by 3. Here I'm dividing both of these parts through by 2x. And then from there, we're going to factor out these parts with the leftovers going in their own set of parentheses. C'est tout, as the French would say. Now over here, let's say if you had written the 3x and the 2x backwards, okay? What's your greatest common factor in this one? 2 and 3, there's no common factors. I can pull an x out. Over here, no greatest common factor. Nothing for the 2. There's no x's, so it's just going to be a 1. Sometimes people miss that. So then we get what gets pulled out, the 2x plus 3. And then the leftovers come down over here. It's the same thing. Shock of shocks. He said sarcastically. All right, so again, so when you break up that middle term, when you break up the 5x, it's not going to matter quite so much how you put it. So you're okay with that. So let's go back to the first page. So 2x plus 3, x plus 1, 2x plus 3, x plus 1. Oh, there's an x plus 1. So now we need 2x plus 3. Hey, it's a vowel. So on number 15, we're going to write in the letter I. 2 more to do, just for fun. Now, obviously, if you already kind of get it at this point, feel free to work ahead. For those of you goofing around, stop it now. Seriously. All right, so step 1, 3 times 5. A times C. Step 2, factor it out. So 15 breaks down into 1 and 15, 3 and 5, that's it. So which pair adds up to be 16? Actually, we want negative 16. So since we're looking for negative 16, 15 or 5 and 3 are both positive, so that means that these two numbers here are going to be negative. So that's going to be what we're going to break things up into. This is going to be a little iffy because, again, remember as I warned yesterday, if you've got negatives in there, you got to be very careful with what you're factoring out. Generally going to be factoring a negative number out. So the negative 16 is going to break up. I know you're not supposed to break things up. It's okay. Oops. Make it a negative. Okay. So you have that. From there, we go into step 4. You're going to say, okay, what's in common from the first one? This one nobody ever screws up, to be perfectly honest, because the negative sign isn't going to cost you much. 3 and 1, nothing different. X squared and x, I can pull out an x. So I get 3x minus 1. Now over here, okay, you always, if that first term is negative, you 99.25% of the time, you're going to want to pull that out. So what's the common term between, let me move this down a sec. Just as a reminder, so again, what we did back here, I divided that term by x, that one here, I divided this term by x, the leftovers one here. So in terms of dividing out here, the common number between 15 and 5 is 5. Now since that negative 15 is sitting out there, we want to make this a negative 5. And the tip-off for that is this. We need this first term here, this term right here, okay, is a positive 3x. You know, I should really use the magic pen for that, now that I think about it. Okay, since that's positive, this one has to be the same thing. And so the only way you can get that through is dividing out by negative 5. So if I divide that out by negative 5 and that out by negative 5, then I get positive 3x here and the minus 1. If you do it and you end up getting signs that are opposite inside the parentheses, you didn't necessarily do it incorrect. Well, you did it slightly incorrectly, but I mean, you have the right idea. You just need to make sure that you pull a negative sign out with it. So then in step 5, that 3x minus 1 comes out front, and the leftovers go in their own Tupperware container. So we have 3x minus 1, x minus 5. So say that to yourself as we go back to the first page. 3x minus 1, x minus 5. 3x minus 1. There it is. Dun, dun, dun. X minus 5. So 11 is E, as in easy. Okay. Over error, egret. What else? Come up with your own. Egghead, Ernest, envelope. All right, last one. I'm getting distracted. My apologies. All right, last one for us to do as a group, and the rest of it is going to be yours to work on for the balance of the period. Okay. So you're going to multiply A times C. Get 14. Step 2, look for factors of 14. Now these first ones are really actually kind of kind to you. They're not giving you lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of factors to play with. So there's only been 2 or 3 pairs on each of these. Okay. So really focus on the process of what you're going through here. Don't worry so much about, worry about getting the factors right, but if you're finding it easy, then really kind of focus on working on the factors and worrying about that. So in this case, we're looking for 9. We're looking for negative 9, so both of those should be negative. Boop, boop. And then we're going to break it up. So again, I'm going to write down the original because I think if I don't do that, it's very hard to see where things are coming up. So 9x, we're going to break up into 7x squared. I might as well put the 7 with it because then it's going to be an easy factor. And again, that's because negative 7x, it's because these two terms here, whoa, okay, those two terms add up to be, this term right here. Okay, so these two terms right here add up to be that. So anyway, so now it's factoring time. Step 4, GCF. What's the same from here? I can pull out a 7 and an x. And the leftovers are x minus 1. Here, it's going to be very easy to say, oh, it's 2. Ooh, wait. It's a negative 2x. So since that leading term is minus, you need to keep it as a minus. So this is going to be negative 2, negative 2. Oops, I don't need that line. So it's going to be minus 2 times. I didn't want blue. That's going to disappear on me a bit. Yep. X minus 1. Sorry, that should be a plus 2. No wonder. And now for our last one again, remember what we're going to do is we're going to pull out this common term. And again, these two terms here, this and this, should be equal. So that's what we're going to pull out front. So I'm going to take this. This is going to get on the right, so I'm going to put x minus 1 up front. And that's the leftovers are going to go in the set of parentheses. Now look what would happen. I mean, if I multiply all this out, I'm going to get x times 7x, which is what I would get here. So like here, if I go x times 7x, that's what I'm going to get here. If I go x times negative 2, that's what I'm going to get here. If I go negative 1 times 7x, that's what I'm going to get here when I distribute that out. If I go negative 1 times negative 2, that's what I'm going to get when I distribute this out. So everything's all taken care of. So your final answer is going to be x minus 1, 7x minus 2. So from there, let's go back to the beginning. I found my link. So x minus 1, 7x. X minus 1. There it is, number 3. And then 7x minus 2 plus 2. What was it? 7x minus 2. So, 7x minus 2. See right here, they're trying to fool us. Haha, we can't be fooled. So number 3 is 0, or O. Okay? Now what I would like you to do is this. Finish 5 through 9 and do 2 of 10 through 18. That should probably keep you busy enough for the balance of the period, since I have now taken up 18 plus minutes of your time. And if you want to do more than the extra 2, that's fine. Overachievers, go for it. So anyway, be good for your sub. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you later. We'll spend probably about another day or 2 on this, so don't worry. But please give it your best effort, because this is going to be something where if you don't do it, you're not going to get it just on the fly, and I'm not going to help you on a quiz. So with all that being said, we'll talk to you later. Thanks.